Welcome to Marvelous Disney, the podcast that discusses the most recent doings at one of the more dynamic divisions of the Walt Disney Company, and that is, of course, Marvel Entertainment. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and my co-host, the amazing Aaron Adams, and I are recording this week's episode on Monday, August 31st, 2020. Nice to have you back, Aaron. Really missed you last week. I am not good at playing handball by myself.
Well, I had 3 weeks without internet, so I'm just happy to be able to communicate with another human being. I've gone feral. My beard has grown another 2 inches, and I now drag my butt across the carpet like a feral dog. I'm not very polite anymore.
Wow. Thanks for the visuals. You could paint such a picture. So, all right, folks, before we get to the news, a quick plug. The news tonight is brought to you by Storybook Destination, trusted travel partner of Marvelous Disney. For a worry-free travel experience, book online at storybookdestinations.com. Anyway, thank you for the laugh, because, again, the past couple of days, it's been sad. And I'm referring, of course, to the passing of Chadwick Boseman. His family revealed just this past Friday, August 28th, that this incredibly talented 43-year-old had lost his 4-year battle with colon cancer. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I've got a world of them. It's tragic. It's sad to lose someone so young, especially when they're gifted with so much talent, and there's so many people that love them, and an actor that means so much to an entire community of people. Mm-hmm. And there's a photo that I shared with you of a young kid who had lined up his Marvel toys against the garage, and Black Panther was kind of laid out in the middle, and he was doing the Wakanda Forever salute. And man, that picture just gutted me. I felt so bad for that kid. So if I could talk to that kid, what would I say to him? And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show.
Okay, cool. All right, we talk show business here, folks, so let's get to the business end of things. And the movie that Aaron swore would never open in theaters opened this past weekend, New Mutants. Did you see how it did at the box office? Or
can you imagine #1 across America? What kind of world do we live in where New Mutants bows at #1 on its opening weekend? Maybe when you're the only girl at the dance, someone will ask you to dance.
Oh, okay. Well, what Aaron is referring to is that, yes, New Mutants from 20th Century Studios was #1 at the box office this past weekend, made $7 million, played in, I want to say, 2,400 theaters nationwide. And again, if we were talking prior to COVID, that's a ridiculously low number. But on the other hand, only 60% of the theaters in the country are now open. And of those theaters, they're only operating at 25 to 50% capacity. So given all of those handicaps, so to speak, the fact that New Mutants did sell $7 million worth of tickets during its first 3 days in North America, that's something. I mean, that's something worth acknowledging. Now, it's also, we should acknowledge that if you go over to Rotten Tomatoes, this film got a 35% freshness rating and an audience rating of just 53. But to provide perspective here, Aaron, if we look back at Josh Trank's Fantastic Four reboot from December of 2015, that got a 9 freshness rating and only an 18% score. So yeah,
but you're judging that against you're judging that against the Fantastic Four, which has never really done well ever. I mean, even though we got a sequel to the first Fantastic Four franchise, if you were to compare it to other X-Men movies, isn't it the lowest ranked out of all of the X movies?
I'll have to check that. And
if you were to compare an X-Apple to an X-Apple, that is, right?
Yeah. I was reading that evidently there is a connection from New Mutants to Logan. And, you got to wonder if this film had actually made it into theaters when it was supposed to make it. There were only been 13 months separating Logan and New Mutants, so maybe this story thread would have played a little better. As I understand it, people who are in theaters now watching it, and they reference the the facility where mutants were being taken to for safety, right? As part of Logan. In fact, that was the whole point of him driving his daughter there. But evidently, it would have played better if these two films had opened closer together.
And do you think that would have saved the movie if its connection to another movie were a touch stronger?
It's such a crapshoot as to why a movie succeeds.
Well, first off, if I think if it were a stronger movie overall, and I'm saying this not having seen it, so I don't know Jack, will establish that right off the bat, but if it were a stronger movie, I think it wouldn't have been on a shelf forever and ever and released during a pandemic. I think it would have been released when Disney acquired Fox and they finally had it finished. If it were a shiny gem of a project, then I think Disney would have trotted it out like, oh, look what we made. And, it's not that they had anything to do with it, but they own it now, so, right?
Sometimes the right poster or the right trailer is enough to get you interested to check something out. I mean, a case in point, have you seen this Fortnite Marvel crossover thing that's happening now?
Yes, I have, and I don't know of any poster or trailer that could get me excited about that, but I don't care about Fortnite. I have a lot of friends that do, and they're excited by it, so I can see going in from that angle. They go, ooh, we've got actual IP that's like legit, right? Because Fortnite was just a game and it had cool characters and people enjoyed playing it. But then all of a sudden you drop in, like, I'm certain a similar sort of thing were to happen if you were to drop in DC characters. They'd be like, oh my God, we get to play with Superman and Batman, right? So drop in the MCU and Galactus is coming to munch on your island and whoa, we've got a story. So I get it. That's cool. I mean, I think it's neat. I wish I would have been playing the game all along so I could be, along with the fans on that ride. But right now I'm seeing comics with a banana, like a character that is a banana.
Yeah. You got to remember, we work the Marvel side of the street where Rocket is a raccoon.
That's true.
We're on very thin ice when we start criticizing bananas. But no, I mean, just for me, between the pages for the comic book lead into what they're doing for Fortnite, likewise the trailer looked amazing. And I admit sometimes I have a low threshold for entertainment. Sometimes all it takes is me channel surfing and there's an image I've never seen before. It's like, okay, I'm stopping and watching this. But I don't game. My daughter's a huge gamer, but I topped out at Pong, whereas, I mean, you're part of this community. In fact, you were talking about how you've pre-ordered your copy of Avengers. Is that right? Or
I have indeed. I spoke to my friends within my community. I said, hey, what's up? You getting this game or am I playing this solo? And I had a couple friends jump on board and go, no, I've got it pre-ordered. So we've got our 4-man group ready to go. And we'll go into battle here Friday when it drops. When this episode drops, I will be playing Marvel Avengers. So how do you like that?
For next week's show, your job is to give us a report on, the Avengers game. And I will assemble all of the X-Men movie info and we'll find out where exactly New Mutants fits on that freshness and audience rating chart. I wanted to give a quick update on Ant-Man 3. Peyton Reed has been out there talking about how proud he is, for example, that the second Ant-Man movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, was the first of the Marvel movies to really put the female superhero front and center. That Ant-Man 3, which is going to be going into production hopefully next year and be released to theaters in 2022. Can't give you a date on that because things are slipping and sliding now because of what potentially is going to happen with Black Panther 2.
I wonder if they're going to keep with the trend of the name. It'll be like, it was first Ant-Man, the sequel's Ant-Man and the Wasp, third one will be Ant-Man, the Wasp, and the Bumblebee. There's got to be like a third little insect to add to that, right?
I do not know.
No?
Research. I have to get to do my research. And while we're talking about sequels, Captain Marvel 2 continues to chug forward. We now have a new director assigned to this project. It's Nia DaCosta. She directed Universal's Candyman, which was supposed to be out in June of this year, but of course, COVID-19, that screwed up everything. So now that's pushed back to October 16th of this year. But evidently that horror film reboot turned out well enough that Nia became the hot candidate for Captain Marvel 2. And out ahead of her being assigned to helm this thing, we got a new screenplay put together. This is by Megan McDonald. She's a story editor on WandaVision. By the way, also an update on WandaVision, talking with people at Disney Plus, and they're still, we think it's going to debut, like the very last week of December 2020, and then run from January into February. But again, a lot of stuff is sliding right now. And I did want to bring up WandaVision for another reason. Elizabeth Olsen, the star of WandaVision, likewise the woman who's played, Scarlet Witch in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, she disabled her Instagram account a day or so ago. And this reportedly was because Marvel fans were bullying her because they felt that she wasn't moving fast enough to honor Chadwick Boseman, that she hadn't, so many other members of the cast, of Marvel movies had stepped forward and had put something up on Twitter or Instagram or the like. And the fact that she hadn't was cause for concern. So she got bullied. And it's one of these things where it's like, there's no one way to mourn. We're all individuals and we all grieve in our own way. And the fact that just last night when they ran that Black Panther commercial free on ABC, by the way, 6 million people tuned in to watch that last night. ABC's to be applauded. When you think about, we got this news on Friday, and by Sunday night, they cleared their entire primetime schedule and not only put on this commercial-free airing of Black Panther, but they followed it with a 45-minute tribute, special episode of 2020, which Robin Roberts agreed to host. And the fact that this all came together in such a short amount of time really speaks volumes about how folks at, Marvel and Disney and ABC felt about Chadwick Boseman. But here was Elizabeth in the middle of the special, contributing her thoughts, and she got around to it eventually, folks, but evidently not fast enough for our Twitter, Instagram world. And I think we need to let people be people.
Well, I think toxic fans have an issue just besides their general toxicity online that needs to be sorted out. It's like general rules of society don't quite click with them. So in the don't feed the trolls mentality, you just kind of have to ignore them. And once you're in a vacuum, well, you can't breathe anymore now, can you? So they'll kind of just die off if you don't feed them any attention. And then they'll maybe realize, is it me? I guess it's me. Maybe I should look into that.
That's an excellent suggestion. All right, well, we'll tell you what, folks. We're going to take a quick break here. When we get back, Aaron's going to share his thoughts for that little boy with his action figures. And, we're going to talk a bit more about Chadwick Boseman's career.
This is an ad.
I hate it!
An ad for crisp, refreshing Angry Orchard hard cider.
That is refreshing.
An ad that interrupted your podcast.
I hate being interrupted!
To remind you to stop being angry at me and crack open an Angry Orchard.
That's a good idea.
Don't get angry. Get Orchard. Angry Orchard Cider Company, LLC. AngryOrchard.com. Please drink responsibly. Angry Orchard is a hard cider with other natural flavors.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
It was 11 years ago today, Aaron, that the Walt Disney Company announced that it was going to acquire Marvel Entertainment for $4 billion. And we've seen a lot of very successful films, and one of the most successful was The Black Panther. Went on to sell $1.3 billion worth of tickets worldwide, and And a large portion of that success was due to Chadwick Boseman's performance as T'Challa, the king of Wakanda. And we first met his take on the character back in April of 2016, which was when Captain America Civil War debuted. And what was your thoughts on his initial appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
He was just shockingly good. Mm-hmm. There have been a moment, and I'm not even going to get into the hows, the whos, and the whys, but there have been a character or two that have been introduced into the MCU that I just didn't really take to right away. Mm-hmm. And over time, I grew to love them, but on their initial first appearance, I was rather blasé about it. However, when I saw Chadwick for the first time as Black Panther, I went, oh, that's T'Challa. Mm-hmm. I don't know who's playing him. I just know that's T'Challa. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't critique it, for there were no flaws.
He got dropped in the deep end in that film. I mean, think about it. We are how many films in with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark or Chris Evans as Captain America? And he comes on the screen as this fully formed character who can stand his own, both physically and performance-wise, right along with Downey and Evans. It's just a good, solid debut.
I mean, he's done characters. He did Jackie Robinson in 42, James Brown, Get On Up, Thurgood Marshall. He's been playing characters who are legendary in their inspiration to what they mean in the Black community.
Well, now, speaking of which, though, you shared that incredibly powerful photo of that little boy standing in front of the garage door doing the Wakanda Forever arms, but with his, all of his action figures posed in mourning around a Black Panther who was lying in state. And you had something you wanted to say to him.
Yeah, and actually there have been a lot of pictures like that with a lot of kids and their toys surrounding a Black Panther character, and it because they're so young and they don't have a wealth of Black superheroes to rally around. And this one, he finally had his own movie. I mean, yeah, we've got like Rhodey, but Rhodey never had a solo movie, and so Black Panther finally had a solo movie, and these kids, it really meant something special to them. And man, when I see them holding funerals with their toys, it kind of got me personally, because I can understand that, they're trying to let out their grief. So I wanted to say something. If I could talk to that kid, what would I say to him? And I think I would say that the great thing about a superhero is that they fight the hardest of battles, and they usually win in the end, usually. But there comes a point when a hero eventually loses a battle, and from there, they transform into something more, a legend. A legend is impossible to defeat. A legend can live forever. As long as there is someone left to carry the legend in their heart and pass it from their lips to another's ear, that legend will grow stronger. But make no mistake, we have lost a king, and we still need a king. My hero once told me that anybody can wear the mask, even me. So in that spirit, I ask that you take this crown and you wear it as Mr. Boseman wore it, with bravery, humility, and dignity. Carry this hero in your heart, spread his story to all who will listen, and make him a legend as he was meant to be, just as you were meant to learn how to be a king.
Wow, that's great. That's a wonderful tribute there. The only thing I'd like to add to that is these kids feel so strongly about the Black Panther character. I remember how torn up kids were when T'Challa got dusted in Infinity Wars. I don't know if you remember that noise in theaters, Aaron, where it's Cap alone on the battlefield and Thanos and his forces are coming forward and the portal opens to his left and who comes through but T'Challa and Shuri and Okai.
Oh, and the cheer from the crowd.
Oh, it was the sound of hope. And people so happy to see this character back. Yeah, he played a superhero in a movie, but Chadwick Boseman was also a hero in real life. And what we're learning now is he was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2016. And yet, during the 4 years he was having operations and he was having treatments, he would regularly make trips to St. Jude's and visit the pediatric cancer ward. It wasn't anything that was heavily advertised. It wasn't promoted. He just showed up to be there with those kids. And it meant so much, that especially to the members of the African American community who were battling cancer, that this guy was here and this guy plays Black Panther in that movie. And he's taken a few minutes with my kid. This sort of selfless behavior, to do that when you yourself are battling a life-threatening illness, that's real heroic behavior.
There was a girl on Twitter who was a reporter who shared a quick story about standing in line in the red carpet and you feel like your cattle herded in a pen and you wait for people to come in and then all of a sudden celebrities show up, but they're showing up late and they walk right past you and, you've been there all day and you're tired, you're hungry, you haven't got to do anything but stand there and wait for people to walk by you and ignore you. And then it was during one of his premieres that Chadwick Boseman was, the lead star of that, but he stopped at every single microphone and answered every question, even though it took him like a half an hour to walk 10 feet. And she just wanted to acknowledge that stars don't do that. Celebrities don't do that. He went out of his way. He was tired. It was a hot, sunny, exhausting, sweltering day. He's wearing a tuxedo or whatever. And to be uncomfortable, but give everybody something that's so precious, which is your time. Mm-hmm. That's all that they were ever asking for. And when you get someone's time, just a second of it like that, like a kid that gets to meet him and take a photo, it's a second. Mm-hmm. But that gift of time will last forever. So to be generous in that way, give the gift of your time, because we're all limited on it.
Yeah.
And I think he was aware of that. I don't know if you happened to see, there was an interview. Oh man, it was heartbreaking because now after the fact, we know what he was dealing with, but it was about how there were kids dealing with cancer and they were just fighting to stay alive long enough to see the Black Panther movie come out. And he was sharing that story. And at the end of it, he got choked up, but it took him a couple minutes before he could continue his thought of how much it meant to him that the kid's struggle was to see him finish that movie when in his own mind, he may have had that very same wish for himself.
Wow.
I hope I get to see it come out too, kid.
Wow.
Well,
character's going to live on. In fact, it's kind of interesting that right now you can go to the Disney audition pages and Disneyland Resort is holding auditions for a Black Panther walk-around character, also General Okoye. But he'll live on in that park. It'll be something that little kids can visit with and get their picture taken. Also, in a weird sort of way, Boseman's going to live on because other people are going to live on. I don't know if there was this amazing story that ABC reported just this evening that the American Cancer Society reported today that at their colon rectal cancer information page, they had an 8,000% uptick in people clicking on it and getting information about this disease. So, in a weird sort of way, his passing and people who are now going to go out of their way to get tested because, geez, a 40-year-old guy got this, that I should maybe get this checked. So he's going to continue to impact people's lives. But at the same time, you also have to feel sad for his co-workers, his contemporaries. I mean, Ryan Coogler, the gentleman who wrote and directed the first Black Panther, has just spent the past year working on Black Panther 2. In fact, he quoted in social media, I spent the last year preparing, imagining, and writing words for him to say, which we're now not destined to see. To bring this kind of full circle to what we were talking about with Elizabeth Olsen and social media, right now, Letitia Wright, the woman who plays Shuri in the Black Panther movies, there's suddenly a lot of people who mean well, who are sending her messages through social media, through Twitter, and that the legacy falls on you. You have to continue this now. And it's like, this woman literally found out she lost a friend 2 and 3 days ago. This is not the time to talk about what your next career choice is. People just need to be allowed to mourn and grieve. And, somewhere further down the line, we'll figure out what's going on with Black Panther 2, which, as I mentioned, has a release date of May 6, 2022. But I kind of suspect that Peyton Reed's Ant-Man may get a new release date fairly soon, just to allow Ryan Coogler and crew to kind of sort that out, to figure it out. But sorry, folks, that this was kind of a downer of a show, but understandable. And Aaron and I will be back with a hopefully more upbeat episode of Marvelous Disney next week. But in the meantime, if you're looking for stuff a little more upbeat, a little more entertaining, we've got Disney Dish with Len Testa. We've got Fine Tuning with Drew Taylor. Looking at Lucasfilm with Dan Z. And if you want to keep tabs on what we're up to, you can head over to Twitter and Instagram, where we post under Jim Hill Media, and on Facebook at Jim Hill Media News. And beyond that, if you could do Aaron and I a favor and head over to Bandcamp and subscribe, that would be helpful. Anything else to add, Aaron, before we close here? Or
we'll close the show with what Chadwick had to say to Denzel at a tribute to Denzel.
And not just because of me, but my whole cast, that generation stands on your shoulders. The daily battles won, the 1,000 territories gained, the many sacrifices you made for the culture on film sets through your career, the things you refused to compromise along the way, laid the blueprints for us to follow. And so now, let he who has watered be watered. Let he who has given be given too. It is an honor to now know you, to learn from you, and join in this work with you. May God bless you exceedingly and abundantly more in what's in store than he ever has before. God bless you.